All right. Thank you again, everybody, for dialing into our well-informed Age is Just a Number 50 and Beyond. All lines will be muted for the remainder of the presentation, and we will have a question and answer portion of the presentation at the end, where we encourage you to type your questions in for the presenter. As we go through Women's Health Month and into Men's Health Month, it's important that we look at something that is at the front of everyone's mind: aging. Whether it's getting ready for retirement, becoming a grandparent, or empty nesters, and especially changes in your energy levels and body, aging is a concern for a lot of people. And to help us navigate some of those concerns, we are joined by Joanne Mantione. Joanne is a senior consultant with over 20 years of experience helping corporate and entrepreneurial clients navigate change, stress, and work life balance. Drawing on firsthand experience through three corporate mergers, she specializes in training, coaching, organizational development, career management, and change management across industries, including financial services, telecommunications, and pharmaceuticals. Joanne partners with organizations and professionals to build resilience, improve performance, and adapt to evolving work environments through seminars, workshops, and coaching. Her expertise includes change management, leadership development, mindfulness, stress management, and career transition. She also provides wellness and personal development programs focused on mental health, caregiving, and life balance. She holds an MBA in Management and Human Resources and Finance from New York University Stern School of Business and a BA in Psychology from Montclair State University. And Joanne, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you now.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone, and welcome. That was a great intro, and I am here to help you learn more about the realities of being someone alive and well in the world today. I'm here on behalf of your EAP. EAP meaning your Employee Assistance Program. I know it's been promoted and I am not selling it. It's already sold, it's already paid for. I encourage you to use your resources. They are completely confidential. So whether you call, you meet with someone, you send an email and your name is in it, just like mine is in my email, and many of ours are, it's never reported back that Joanne or someone else accessed the resources. As a reminder, everyone who lives with you has this resource, and each of you has the ability to meet with a counselor, a licensed provider who can assist you up to 6 sessions per situation per calendar year. And the last slide of every seminar talks about the EAP resources. As a reminder, though, one of the best things we can do is ask for help, and the EAP is there available for you. You heard a little bit about my background. I've been delivering seminars my entire career. I'm not reading, this is not memorized. I will advance the slides, but I encourage you to know that I'm right there with you. I'm actually here in New Jersey. For me, it's 2:06. I know for most of you, it's 1:06. You might be in an office, out in the field, wherever you are. We're going to explore this idea of growing older. And I looked up the word old and all of those words that came along with it. And my voice went up because I felt very strongly about this. All had this sort of, sure, I like that word. It might have been somewhat positive, but made me feel maybe somewhat negative. And so we recognize that growing older has certain perspectives. And you may live in a world or an environment where youth is celebrated and people sort of want to look younger and really celebrate, being able to do this and that with a youthful spirit. We know that growing older is what happens, right? We're all aging. And with that comes a variety of changes. So we're not going to sugarcoat anything and say, oh no, things aren't going to change. We're going to say what happens and how have that positive impact? How can we influence our aging? And you'll say, well, can I just turn back the clock? Because I looked at a photo and I didn't realize how young I used to look. I thought I looked the same, right? And all of a sudden I see, wow, my face looked different. So how do we manage that? And what sort of approach can we take? And we're going to go through actual steps and perspectives, because the way we view this process of aging or growing older, I kind of like to say a little bit less young, right? How do we look at it? Because the way we approach aging makes a difference. Your mindset matters, and we're going to talk about resilience. So we have a lot to cover. And again, wherever you are, welcome. Wherever you are in your career, in whatever decade you're in, you may have a family member at home who's older or younger. Whatever the reason, we're here to learn more about something very real. We're in the 21st century, and aging is different than the previous centuries. It's different than the previous generations. Your aging is different than your family members, your relatives, your parents, your grandparents. And back in the day, when I started delivering seminars, people stayed with one organization, and many of you have many years of service, and retirement was at a set age. Nowadays, retirement looks different. People are working longer. The choice to work is more available. We're more open to trying new things. The age group 75 plus is the fastest growing segment of the workforce. Okay. So people are not retiring at whatever that number was that you had in mind. And depending upon where you work or your years of service, you may not have a certain pension or health care plan. Most people contribute to their health care. So retirement looks different, and families are different. And surprisingly, the number of gray, meaning the color of your hair, divorces has doubled since the 90s. People move on, they move away, they decide to make relationship changes. Children come back, the boomerang children come back, and they live at home. You may be raising grandchildren. So family roles aren't the same. I know everyone might have grown up in the same three-family building or in the same neighborhood, and now caregiving happens at a distance. We are also living longer. We typically live 10 years longer than our parents. And 65-year-olds report feeling younger than their parents did at 65. So we're living longer. And with that, the words senior citizen or senior moment, whatever words you want to come up with, they don't feel as appealing, right? And so we're savvy seniors, or we're just a little bit older, but not old. So there is this sort of shift right now. I do believe that youth is celebrated. You'll hear 30, is what a 50-year-old is like now. 50 is the new 30. And so what ends up happening is you almost want to hide that you found a gray hair, or that you need glasses, or your night vision is changing, or you feel like you have to play the television louder. Your hearing may have, diminished a bit. We resist admitting it, but the reality is hiding it is not going to help. So today, we're approaching 50 with something that we call realistic optimism. We're going to address what happens as we age. It could be 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus, and so on. This is what happens. And what does that mean to you? And then how do we plan for it? How do we manage it? So for some of us, aging represents physical shifts, maybe gray hair, maybe, needing reading glasses, or maybe needing a different prescription for lenses, or maybe that night vision is compromised. Maybe you just feel like you have more aches and pains, or you don't have as much energy. And so you may feel that. Maybe you feel uncertain. Your emotions are all over the place. I worked, I worked, I worked. And now what? What's going to happen next? What's my next role? I was focused on going to school, starting a job, finding my passion or my work, maybe buying a home or creating a life for myself. Maybe it included a family, maybe it didn't. But I did all that. So what's next? Where do I fit in as I age? And then who's going to take care of me, right? Maybe as you age, you sense change. The world is different. People are different. People don't talk and get together for coffee or tea. They just want to have a meeting on a computer, looking at a screen, or they want to text. How can I have a conversation on text? So things are different. Maybe people have moved on. Maybe someone has passed on. Maybe the neighborhood changes. Maybe my favorite diner here in New Jersey, my favorite diner closed. It's a big thing. So things may feel like they're going away. But it may also mean, wow, I did all that. Now I can start something new. Now I'm curious. Now I can take the time because I have the time. So it's all over the place. And I look at that and I say, I need to take a breath. So wherever you are, I need you to feel your feet on the floor and just feel yourself in your chair or wherever you're sitting and just take a breath. Because figuring this out is actually the best way to manage it. If I just closed the computer right now and walked away and left you with this, you'd say, I have a headache. I know about those changes. I know I'm crying more, or I know my sleep is interrupted. And you would be exhausted. Our work is to get you to that light bulb. How do I move forward? So realism, we're looking at it clearly. There are going to be changes, and they're going to be different for each of us. But they don't have to be the definition of the rest of your life. Things wear out. You may feel an ache or a pain in a knee or a hip. There are so many advances in medicine. You may feel like your night vision is changing. Very common. People will go to see their ophthalmologist and have a need for more care. You might look different. You might have another wrinkle, right? You may say, I don't know if I like how I look, or if I look the same, or, who I am. I knew who I was before, but who am I now? and you may feel dips in your energy or your memory. This doesn't mean dementia or any neurological condition. It just means that our bodies are changing. They're aging. But there are so many things that we can do to give us energy and to work with memory. An area that I'm very passionate about is brain health. And there is so much info out there and there are so many things that we could do in terms of your memory. The fact is your role is shifting, right? Maybe you were a parent, maybe you're a grandparent, maybe you're caring for a loved one, maybe your roles have changed at work. Where does your attention go? Where does your time go? And I had this great view, of what I was going to do, and then things shifted. Life happened, and I'm not sure how it's going to play out. So we can make plans, we can make steps forward, but there's still some unknowns. These are some of the facts, and I'm sure you could list. But on the flip side, and I need everyone right now to just take a moment and smile. When we smile, you're literally changing the neurotransmitters in your brain. Things can be better. There are positive changes. And if I were to be with you right now with my flip chart that I used to use for years, I draw a line, and at one end is negative, and at the other end is positive. If you're feeling like I'm not sure about the positive, then just move to neutral. As we age, we start to accept who we are more. We know what bugs us very clearly. We know what pushes our buttons. We know who we are. And we tend to realize that what other people think is not as important. And we put things in perspective. And you've seen the books, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. We tend to care less. And we're able to say what's on our mind. We think more clearly and authentically. At work, the goal is still respectful, polite, and professional. That is not at the expense of treating everyone with respect. So I want to make that very clear that we express ourselves, we say what we're feeling, but we've learned how to say it in a professional manner. We do know more and we are wiser. And you start to realize, every time that happens, I get upset. And you'll start to see the patterns. And when we're younger and busy, we don't even know sometimes how things happen or how we feel. No disrespect to being younger, but having a lot going on, sometimes it's hard to take that moment. Expectations. Some are realistic and some are unrealistic. And we start to realize what makes the most sense, what's realistic, and that it's unrealistic if I don't talk about it, that it's going to go away. Sometimes younger might feel, well, if I don't say anything, no one will notice. And as we mature, you realize that's not real. And I need to address it. If I make a mistake, I need to let someone know. So, older or perhaps more senior have been found to look on the bright side and minimize the negative. Actually, more than younger. So, younger generations focus on the negative, and more senior generations have been found to minimize the negative and focus on the positive. So Ingrid Bergman, who I remember who she was, says getting old is like climbing a mountain. You get a little out of breath, but the view is much better. So we're climbing a mountain, and some of you might say, well, I'm going down the other side right now. We're still climbing that mountain, and you may be out of breath, but we can do something about that. And you have all of this experience. And as a career coach and a counselor, that is extremely valuable. So, a lot of positives. But those negatives from the slide before kind of leave you feeling frustrated, exhausted, and it's hard to see this. So, we're going to again sit up and we're going to bring a smile to our face. And I'm doing it too because we're all in this. What can we do now? Now that we know we are aging, there are going to be changes. But how do I be intentional? How do I make sure that I'm aging my best? And you're going to say, Joanne's giving me more work. I'm not giving you more work. I'm helping you realize that this is what's going to help you. And if you're sitting like I am right now, it's important to get in the habit of breaking up a long stretch with bursts of movement. So if you're sitting, you can stand up for a moment as long as it's okay with your workspace or where you are and just stretch. And there's recommendations even around looking at a screen where you should every 20 minutes look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. That's the 20-20-20. There's all sorts of recommendations. The idea is we're not sitting for long periods. We're not looking at a screen for long periods. So you know that everyone tells you to exercise. And I say to my elderly parents, your idea of exercise was turning on the television and watching Jack LaLanne. And they laugh. But years ago, I don't believe there was as much focus, in my experience, on exercise. But now we hear it all the time. Exercise can help you in terms of overall health, energy level, sleep. It helps your weight. And if you're not sure, there's lots of literature out there. Exercise wards off disease. Wherever you are, whatever your limitations are, start wherever you are. There are many low impact types of exercise, walking, Tai Chi, yoga, chair yoga, um, aerobic gets your heart and lungs. Strength training, you don't have to use weights. You can use your own body weight or resistance bands. I use those in physical therapy. I use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-pound weights. And those higher numbers, which are probably light for some of you, are a workout for me. So different types of exercise, and people who start walking after age 50 still see benefits. You might say, well, I didn't start before, so why bother now? Not true. 15 minutes a day can make a difference. So, can you put a little bit of movement into your routine? And can you tack it on to something you're already doing? You're going to receive a PDF file after this seminar, and one of the pages is a really great list of exercise excuses, and they're all there, and there are suggestions and strategies. You don't have to be in the gym every day to get the benefits. In addition to to exercising, eating well makes a difference. How our bodies process food changes as we age. Our bodies process food differently our digestion slows. So how you eat may be as important as what you eat. And it's important to speak with your doctor depending upon your own medical needs. But there are studies that reflect on the blue zones, the parts of the world where people live the longest, large groups of people living beyond age 100. And one of the things they do is less animal foods, more plant-based, heavier meals earlier in the day. They have lots of habits around protein, and you can read about the blue zones. As we age, your thirst receptors, what tells you that you're thirsty, diminish. They're not as strong. So you may not realize that you're not drinking as much because you don't feel as thirsty. And if we don't hydrate with water or something comparable, you might feel tired, exhausted, not clear, foggy, and it's very important for your vitals, those numbers, that your doctors talk about when you have lab work and annual screenings, or maybe more frequently, that you drink your water or a healthy liquid. Most of vitamins and minerals are suggested to come from food, but not everything's absorbed from food. So, for example, calcium supplements might be encouraged as we age. Still best to get it from food, but there may be a point in your medical life that your doctor may recommend supplements. So, what about weight? It's never too late to be at a healthy weight. I just read an article that talked about um, visceral fat, belly fat, and how that impacts your cognition, your brain health. And so as we age, there are physical changes that might be harder to manage just because we're aging, just because you may have gone through menopause or be in a certain, decade in your life. But still, the goal of maintaining a healthy weight can help your body be healthier. So I would work with your doctor. And, as I work through these slides, exercise, eating, and the next slide, those are really the pillars of being well, right? We have this whole area focused on wellness. Not being sick isn't the same as being well. So it's not just that I'm not sick, I don't have a cold right now. I hope I don't, knock wood, right? It's being well, being the best you can be as you enter your later years. So, wellness, managing your stress, having healthy connections, sleeping well, exercising, eating well, these are critical pillars of aging and feeling good. So, what else is important? Reducing the unhealthy influences. I've delivered many years of stress management, and during tough times, we turn to something sometimes that's going to make us feel good in the short run, but in the long run, they cause us more stress. And so, short term benefit, long term consequence. And some of these unhealthy short term steps we take may involve alcohol, drugs, smoking, may involve eating wrong, staying up late, may involve excessive internet use or shopping. All of these things get in the way of being healthy. Your body changes how it processes some of the unhealthy influences. Alcohol and drugs affect your brain and your skin, and they age your brain and your skin. And smoking can leave lasting impact. I want to say this in a way that really hits home. Even if you stop smoking later in life, you can reverse some of the effects of smoking for a long time. Because I hear, well, I always did that, so why start? In live seminars, people will say that. Wherever you are right now, know that what positive steps you take are going to help your brain, your skin, your overall well-being. Some people say, well, I need less sleep now, or I can't sleep because I'm older. Everyone still needs 7 to 9 hours. The pattern of sleep may change, and it does if you read about it. And you may take more naps as you age, but we still need sleep. And without sleep, it's harder to manage our weight because the appetite hormones that help you feel full and satisfied or hungry are impacted if we don't sleep. So if you don't sleep, you're going to feel really hungry and you're never going to feel satisfied. And not sleeping affects your concentration, your memory, your learning, your focus. All of this matters. And if we're always under stress, and life can present challenges. You might be a caregiver. You may have your own medical conditions. There may be things going on at home or with a loved one or at work. Whatever's causing you stress, we know that stress is a part of our lives, but we use our resources to manage our stress. And that's why that says unmanaged. Unmanaged chronic stress can lead to burnout. And when we're burned out, it's as though the candle doesn't have any more wick or wax. There's nothing left. And we don't want to reach that point. So all of these are places where we can make a difference. And again, I'm not selling the EAP. It's already sold. But if something is bugging you, keeping you awake, there's always someone to talk to. And you might say, well, I'm not sure I'm comfortable. Is somebody really going to not know? It's always confidential. It's healthy to ask for help. And it's actually a sign of strength. Another aspect of aging. Do you go to the doctor? Do you use your medical care? Everyone needs to have a primary physician. And I know mine retired because my doctor was more senior than me. Wow. And it seems to be happening because people, at some point decide to have a different schedule. So we have to make effort to find someone we're comfortable with, someone who you can share with, someone that you're not embarrassed to talk to, someone who knows your history, and someone that you can have a conversation with. Going every year, going for those tests, as annoying or uncomfortable or frightening they may be, knowing gives you direction. Knowing helps you to get the help you need. Oh, if I don't go, I won't know anything and I won't have an issue. It doesn't work that way. And so, annual screenings, different checks, depending upon you, there are certain tests that we all need to get. And then there's areas that you don't want to talk about. It's uncomfortable. I'm old. I guess it's the way it is. Maybe it's around menopause. Maybe it's around a prostate concern. Maybe it's something to have to do with sexual health. And I don't want to talk about it. I'm embarrassed. We didn't talk about things like that. And I read about it online. And I paused for a moment. talking to a physician or a health expert can help you learn that what you're dealing with, other people have dealt with and are currently facing. You don't feel as alone. And there's steps that you can take to improve your quality of life. So you may have Medicare, some may have other insurance, you may have a supplement, you may have Medicaid, you may have family members that are approaching these decisions. It's complicated. And I know that there are benefits specialists that can help you at work, but what about after work, right? There are salespeople who are going to try to sell you something, but there's also unbiased sources of information. Those are the sources that I'd like you to know about. And there's something called SHIP, SHIP. So Sam, Henry, Igloo, Parent, SHIP, all caps, State Health Insurance Program. Those are representatives from your state or your loved one's state that can help educate you, and they will help you learn. You know, as a caregiver for older parents, it's an education, right? But it will only help me. So there are resources where someone may try to sell you something and resources that are more unbiased. And you can learn about lots of resources. I printed my materials. The very first page in the PDF is a list of Age Well resources and lots of links. And you'll get that after. So what about those blue zones? What am I hearing now in the news and every article that I receive? It's not just eating well, exercising, sleeping, managing my stress. It's having connections. It's having a sense that you have people that you're comfortable with, that you can share with, that support you. And you'll say, well, I had that person, but they're not here anymore. Or someday they may not be. So how do I have connections? How do I make friends as an older person? I don't like that word older, Joanne, but how do I make friends? I lost my friend. They moved away. You know, they may have their own medical challenges. This is where my local speech came out. This is where you need to take action. If I had to give you two words, take initiative or take the initiative. Make the first move. Make the first move. Write that down. Invest in connecting. Those blue zones have a sense of community, people around them. And you might say, well, I have too many people around me and they keep asking me for help and I can never take care of myself. So in order to be able to invest in yourself, you might have to create a boundary with, you know, some people in your life. And if you're a caregiver, as I am, you have to know that there are resources to support you. Create boundaries where you know your limits and ask for help. But also know that you need to have people around you. And if we were all together in a room, which I wish we were, I'd ask you, think about the people. So I'm going to do a mini version here. Think about the people that you interact with every day or on a regular basis. Which of those people leave you feeling worse? And which of those people leave you feeling better? Leave you feeling supported? Not that they say yes, yes, yes to everything, but that you know they're there with you. They're listening. Those are the relationships. You don't need 50 or 100 or lots of likes or, you know, whatever clicks you may see online. You just need some sense that you have that. And so I'm not going to give you a number, but maybe you live with someone. It doesn't mean because I live with someone, I may not be lonely, right? You don't have to be alone to be lonely. And you don't have to be lonely if you live alone. Are there people that you share space with? Can you have a conversation? Can you come up with a new idea? Can you reflect on what we used to do when we were younger? Can you make effort? Friends need, they're like a garden. They need you to water them. They need you to move them to the sunshine, to bring them up. You know, if you're a caregiver, I will say that those second bullet points, family, partner, friends, they often fall by the wayside. And people older than 50 sometimes find that caregiving becomes an important part of their lives. But the message here is reach out, make the first move. And you'll say, where? I don't know where. What do you like to do? Is there an interest you have? You meet other people, and whatever your interest is, if you have similar interests, you already have some common ground. Friendships require some effort. What about working? 60% of older workers, and I'm not sure how we're going to define that older, right? But let's say for today's purposes, it's beyond 50, okay, because of the seminar. But, let's just think. Older workers may see or experience ageism at work. And there's a myth out there, and I want you to prove this myth to be false, that the older generations resist change. They may not be as versed in some of the technology, not having grown up with it, but that doesn't mean they're resistant to change. And most of us see work as part of our lives, right? And I smiled because work provides lots of benefits. So, yes, there's a compensation piece to it, but you get to see your friend. You get to walk down the hall. You get to share a common situation. You interact with people. So, where do you want to go in your work life? Do you want to keep working? If you do, get out and talk to people. Be valuable. Be visible. So we've come up with this phrase, visibly valuable. It's harder to do that. I'm here with you, and I'm in New Jersey. I have myself on camera. I want to connect with everyone I possibly can. And so, how do I be visible? Be there. Volunteer. Help out. Get up from your space. Don't shout over the cube. Instead of sending a text or an email, pick up the phone so they hear your voice. Schedule a real meeting. Turn your camera on. I know you may not like that, but once in a while, turn your camera on. You'd be amazed at the difference. Maybe you want to do something new. And if you want to do something new, what is that? What makes you happy? What do you like doing? Do you want to turn a hobby into maybe some part-time work? Can you learn more about something? Can you talk to a career coach? Can you go to your school or the local library? Or can you go online or go to a meeting or audit a class at a local school, community college, continuing education? And you're going to say, wow, Joanne keeps talking about this. I don't have time. It doesn't have to happen all at once, but it's about creating some sort of a plan. Are you thinking of retiring? Do you imagine what you'll do every day? Is it going to keep you motivated and connected? Have you talked to someone about your finances, about your living space, about health insurance? All of this begins now and it happens over time. So I'm going to go right to the right. Wherever you are in your life, you could be 40 listening to this program. You might live with someone who's 50 plus. What matters to you? What do you want to experience? Why haven't you done it already? And how do I start? The last page of your handouts. You'll see mine has lots of writing all over it, but I'm not sure if it really showed up, but that's okay because it's personal. There's a place for you to answer these questions. You'll say, I'm not sure. I'm too exhausted. Ask yourself what's important to you because thinking about what matters is what motivates people. And we're not old, and I certainly don't feel old, but I like this turning old into bold. Purpose gives you meaning. We want to feel like we're making a difference, even at work. You know, people say, does anyone notice? And I'm sure people do. You have clients, you have customers, you have team members, you have someone else that works in technology with you or is a mechanic, whatever you're doing. We want to feel like we're making a difference. And that's across all generations. So what makes you happy? What did you used to do when you had the time? Maybe volunteer. Or, like I said, take that class every day. It's important to learn something new. And why am I smiling? Because this is so true. You need to learn something new every day. Keep your brain active. So you might have a big bucket list. You know, I want to travel the world. I want to go here. I want to do this. I want to do that. Let's have a baby bucket list. What's little things you want to get done? I want to sing a song. I want to go see something in my area. I'm very close to New York. I want to go to the top of the Empire State Building, you might say. Or I want to go to the Statue of Liberty. Or I want to, you know, throw a pebble into this famous river. Baby bucket lists. Once a week, once a month. That keeps you young, keeps you connected. And as we wrap up, you'll see the quote on the bottom. Look on every exit as being an entrance somewhere else. It is true that there's no endings. There's only new beginnings. But there are things that go away, right? There are losses. There are changes. So why do we talk about resilience? Resilience is most commonly defined as bounce back. If I'm resilient, I bounce back. So what does that mean? It means that ball hits the ground and bounces back. And you'll say, well, I can't pick myself up. I hit the ground and I'm stuck. Out of this picture, you're going to see something's growing out of some stone or some concrete. We are saying that we're realists. This idea of realistic optimism is I am going to hit the ground. Things are going to change. But I have the knowledge and the spirit and the ability to use my resources to be able to get back up, to bounce back. Not easy every day. Life is not smooth. So how do I come to terms with the things that are going away? Maybe the people I've lost or situations that just aren't the same. You know, everybody used to live in the same neighborhood and they don't anymore. Or something has shifted. Or the way I worked is different. We acknowledge what we've lost. mourn the loss, grieve the loss, talk about it, work through it, and then realize what's still working, what's still positive. After the storm and the clouds, the sun comes out. And it's a very simple analogy, but what is still working? And I need everybody right now, wherever you are, it's probably 1:53 p.m. I need you to think of two good things that happened today. Little minor things. Two good things that happened today. And chances are you felt a little bit of a change and the list got a little longer. Good things are still happening, and the way to appreciate and embrace the good things is to find your own anchor. Where in the world? What keeps me steady? Who keeps me steady when everything around me is swimming? What's my anchor? Whether it's spiritual, whether it's a friend, whether it's my pet, whether it's my work, whether it's my coffee, whether it's my tea, or whatever else it might be. What's my anchor? We all need anchors. And when I asked you to think about what's working, that's the kind of thing that's going to help you. So it's not how old you are, it's how you are old. And I'm aging, right? And I don't feel old. Every day, I can benefit from doing the things that I shared with you. No one is left out of this. So as I turn this back to Dakota, I'm going to ask you a question and it's yours to answer and you can share it with whomever. What's one thing that I talked about today that hit home for you that you're going to be able to implement in the next week? I'm being kind. I usually say 24 to 48 hours, but this is a lot to think about. Pick one thing that you're willing to do between now and next week. Write it down. And I wish you good luck on your journey. So thank you. I'm going to turn this over, but I am going to summarize the EAP benefits. Up to 6 counseling sessions, and I say up to 6 because they're yours to use at the pace you need, per situation, per calendar year. You can always call the EAP anytime, day or night, and speak with someone. Everyone you live with, cousin, roommate, loved one, partner, family member, as long as they live there, they can call. We can help you find resources around elder care, child care, pet care, education. Find me that class, of chair yoga because I don't know where it is and I don't have time. Or adoption, any of that in the United States. Help me find a plumber, home repair. Talk to somebody about my finances confidentially and also speak to an attorney about anything except for employment law. And you have lots of people willing to help you learn more about the EAP. So I'm going to move to the thank you, and I'm going to turn this back to Dakota.
All right, Joanne, awesome. Thank you so much for all that information. I know it's like you said, no matter what age you're thinking about, it's important to think about it, right? I want
Mm-hmm.
to take this opportunity to remind everybody that if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and monitor them now. And excuse me, and tell Joanne, my sinuses are not my friend today. But yeah, please go ahead and type any questions, comments, concerns you might have in the chat. We're going to give it just a couple minutes here. But if there are no questions, if nobody has anything that they'd like to share, I just want to remind everybody that wellness is here for you guys. Please feel free to email us wellness@transitchicago.com. If you do have any more questions about your EAP, definitely email us. Or if you see any of our coaches out in the field, definitely stop by to chat. Um, And I'll go ahead and just give it a couple minutes here just to see if there are any questions in the chat. But Joanne, I just really want to thank you again for your time today and all this information. I know that one of the things I like to make sure our employees know is about our EAP, because I think it's one of the most amazing benefits that any employer offers. So I'm glad that you're able to just once again highlight and stress the importance of it. All right, and it looks like we don't have any questions, so I'm just going to go ahead and once again say goodbye to everybody. Joanne, thank you so much for your time today, and hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy the rest of your week.
And Dakota, before we wrap up, I saw 11. Was the number higher after I stopped sharing?
I think we did max out at 11. Yeah,
Okay, so that included me, so it would be 10, right?
correct.
Okay. And is there anything, if I work with you again, that you would want me to do differently?